This is part two, a follow-up to my post regarding Christianity and religion in general. In this video, I'd like to explain why I consider myself to be a Rastafarian. For one, I feel it best explain and represent who I am as a black person. From the hair to the way of life, because that's what Rastafarianism is about. It's not a religion, as some people like to believe, but it's a way of life. And I have started the walk around 7 years. But when I look back, I've always had a love for Rastafarians. For the most part, because these people understand who they are. And it doesn't matter how much persecution they endure. They stand up firm for what they believe in. Very strong ideas. Not religious ideas, but ideas that I think, when practiced, really helps us to be better people. From health consciousness to the way we communicate and relate to each other as human beings. The music, the food, every aspect of Rastafarian lifestyle I like, I embrace, I respect. And the Rastafarian movement started in Jamaica, but ironically, most of the prejudice that they receive have been from Jamaicans. It's a shame. And I think it was after Bob Marley died that he gained a lot of respect from Jamaicans. The Rastafarians endured a lot of hardship and disrespect and abuse from their very own people. The government declaring war on Rasta many years ago, killed them, humiliated them. To this very day it continues. And a lot of people who are Jamaicans, when they claim to accept Rasta, they don't really. When you really speak to them, when you really listen to what they're saying, you see the prejudice. It still comes out. They refer to Rastafarians as dirty hair, talk about lice, as if to say they're dirty people. But what I admire about some of these old men, their locks would be so thick and clumped together, and people would call them all kinds of names, and it never affected the way they lived their lives. You give me one Christian who go through that type of persecution and still remain faithful. I dare you to show me one. But these men and women endured such hardship and disrespect, and they still maintain their beliefs. This is one of the reasons why I admire them so much. But not only that, I identify with this group because they were the ones who talked to us about the importance of seeing ourselves, understanding who we are, showing our connection to Africa in their music, in their poetry like Muta Baruka, in their songs like Bob Marley, and all these new artists, Chronics, you name the Rastafarians that are musicians. They constantly remind us, very conscious people who spend their time and their energy reminding us who we are as a people. So I consider myself to be Rastafarian, but I feel as time goes on, I learn more about the culture of Rastafarian. I learn more about their beliefs and their doctrine. They're divided because they're different sects of Rastafarian. But as far as I'm concerned, at the end of the day, they best represent who I am as an African. So that's the first reason why I love Rasta. But at the same time, I am Rasta because I get a certain kind of satisfaction in pissing off some people who would like to consider themselves as proper. Some of my own black people, jacket and tie, person that I admire a lot, call them bossy slaves. Bossy slaves. If they're not wearing a jacket and tie, if the person is not associated to a certain group, they're not considered of worthy. I'm not sure worthy what, but they're not worthy of our attention or respect, for that matter. I love Rasta. I love everything that they represent. And every time I'm confronted with arguments from Christian people as to why Rasta is not the way to go, they bring these stories that is Emperor Selassie is dead. And I always wonder, how is it possible for you to be bringing this to me as an argument? Because for how many years have you been saying that your God is Jesus? And I'm wondering, did the Bible not say that Jesus is also dead? So how could that be an argument in favor of your religion as opposed to mine? I love Rasta. And I think I became a Rastafarian because I realized that my own people felt that they're better connected to Europe. So they adopted the Christian way of life as if it's their way of life, as if it's something that they can identify with, not realizing that Christianity holds them in a bondage. It doesn't free their mind. It locks them into this place where they believe something that they don't understand. When I decided to become a Rastafarian, I didn't have to think about it. Everything happened naturally. Everything happened naturally. I didn't have to pretend to be something that I wasn't. And the ignorance that I saw and heard made me even more committed to stay the course. And it's 8 years later, and I'm only growing. It allowed me to go inside and to think about who I am as a person of color. I learned so much more. I wanted to learn more about myself. I wanted to know more about my people. It gave me a closer connection to my culture, to my race. It helped me to understand, but it also allowed me to see more prejudice. But that did not deter me. It only made me want to go further and further and to search more and find out more about myself and my roots. My first video on religion talked about Christianity and the things that are, a lot of things that are alien to me and my custom, my African custom. And sometimes when I think about how my own people are in terms of when they hold on to their ideas of Christianity and how angry they get when you question. You just have to question something and say, how do you know that? And they become very, very upset. For example, I remember having a conversation with a lady, and when she asked me if I didn't believe in God, I said, why do you assume that I don't believe in God because I said I'm Rasta? She says, you can't believe in God if you're a Rastafarian, because that means you're not walking the right walk. You're not saved. I said, saved from what? What am I saved from? What are you saved from when you become a Christian? These old ridiculous ideas. Saved. So when God created me in my mother's womb and allowed me to become a part of this world, what do I need to be saved from? and refer to me as a child of God. How could I not be a child of God? He created me in his image and his likeness. Bible has a lot of prejudice in it. There's stories in there about homosexuals and how they're wicked and how they were to be destroyed because Sodom and Gomorrah was this bad place. In the year 2014, we are hearing now that this is not right for us to cast aspiration and judgment on anyone. But these are things that were in the Bible. These are things that Christian people hold on to. Who gave them these ideas and who gave them the Bible? The very same people who put those things in the Bible to demonize people who are homosexuals, they're the same ones that are coming forward now to tell you it's not right for you to do so. So why should you now embrace the fact that those things were wrong and not embrace the fact that everything in there might be wrong? This is where the prejudice comes from. The prejudice doesn't come from Jamaicans having homophobic ideas. It came from the scripture that they were taught from their childhood. And I'm very glad that now we are told the truth is coming out, that these things were made up by man because of their own prejudice or their own fears. So I'm happy they're getting rid of those ideas, but there are also other ideas in the scripture that needs to go as well. Every man has a right to his own ideas, his own choices, his own freedoms, without having to put up with other people telling you how to live your life and judging you and saying who's going to hell and who's going to heaven. Who are you to decide who goes to heaven and hell? Who are you? You're not anybody. Talk about a man in the Bible, for example, David. Christians love to say he was a man after God's own heart. Well, the same scripture tells you that David saw a man with his only wife, coveted that man, and sent him to prison. Sent him to war, to the hottest part of the battle, so that he could get that man's wife. Yet he's seen as a man of God. It's a whole bunch of confusion. It's a lot of confusion in the scriptures. And this is why I have no problems with reading the Bible, but I don't not allow it to create my reality. In fact, I think the Bible is a historical book. Some aspects of it are a historical book. And some of the stories that are there might have happened years ago, but some of those things don't relate to us anymore. We can't expect to live the way David did, or Solomon did, or some of these great men in the Bible, when they didn't have our circumstances. It was easy for them to do what they were doing there because they didn't have the provocation, they didn't have the temptation, they didn't have the circumstances that we have now. So this, for me, is my new walk, and it will be my walk for the remainder of my life. I am a Rasta. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not going to be afraid what anybody thinks of my choices. That is their decision. That's their thoughts. I'm not responsible for your own thoughts. As you walk your own walk, I pray that you will find the truth within yourself. And in the meantime, as I go on my own journey and my own path, seeking to know more truth about who I am as a person and about who God is, I wish you all peace and goodwill on your journey.